The new Golf A3, I mean Lamborghini, I mean Audi A3. It doesn't matter how this car looks on the outside, it doesn't matter how it looks on the inside, it doesn't matter how it drives, it doesn't matter what kind of an engine it has. What matters is the fact that it has physical buttons for the climate control. That's it. That's the test done. Nothing else matters. Just buy this car while it still has the physical buttons.
I truly don't understand what happened here. Why did the A3 keep physical controls when a lot of others, like the Golf and Octavia, got rid of them? But I'm not complaining. Quite on the contrary. I guess this is the premium segment's new strategy. Want buttons? Pay our price. The new A3 is quite a looker. Yes, it has fake exhaust pipes, but the design of the brake lights, the trunk lid and so on make it rather more interesting and, at the same time, still somewhat reserved. Trunks are a funny thing, once you've been storing the same pieces of kit in them. This model doesn't have a cavern in there, but it's enough for serious grocery shopping or shorter road trips. For me though, the interior is where it really shines. The dashboard is nice, the infotainment not jutting out but nicely embedded, physical buttons and those futuristic vents. It's also intriguing, it has both the USB-A as well as USB-C connectors, while some competitors only offer USB Type-C now. The digital instruments are great because they're large, very customizable, and you can have the navigation on them. One more curiosity is the dashboard stitching, even though it's not leather. Very nice, although I'd love to see the stitching in some contrasting color.
I know it feels like a small nitpick, but let me tell you, when you've tested a few cars which have the climate controls all in the touchscreens are nice. When you're not moving, when you're parked, they're very nice to use. They're usually smooth, good looking. But when you're driving, you don't want to really look at the screen. You want you want actual physical buttons. And the lowly Audi A3 gets it. The Skoda doesn't, the Volkswagens don't, they're all touch now. But the lowly Audi does. And I cannot tell you how nice it is to have these proper physical buttons. Look, everything is here. Heating of the seats, recirculation, your temperature control, where it goes, air conditioning, your fan speed. You can turn it off. You've even got the start-stop, which you can turn off here. Traction control, drive select, parking sensors, automatic parking. They even give you a nice little touch with buttons media control, which I think is pretty nice, even though you have it on the steering wheel. But yeah, I cannot tell you how nice it is to have this and to have a separate screen for the climate control. So unlike in the Skoda where it says, oh, please wait, please cook in the very hot car while I load up all the software for your stupid climate control so you can turn on the AC. No, here you've got a separate computer, separate screen, and you just turn it on here via a physical button. I love it. This is the future. I feel like I've been here before. Like, this is a déjà vu. It's also really nice that you get this large screen, large instrument cluster. Because with Volkswagen and Skoda now, they've got these smaller ones, which are sort of cut over here on the left and right. So they're quite a bit smaller, and it definitely doesn't look as good as this. Now, of course, just like before, you can press the view button and get different stuff over here. You've got navigation, of course. You can also put it across the entire screen, and you can have the navigation both here and on the infotainment screen at the same time. So I think that's pretty nice. I like it. And yeah, of course, it's the Audi graphics, which just look plain very nice. I am very pleasantly surprised by this Audi A3. I mean, I knew it was gonna be okay, even though I had a bit of a bad taste from a few years ago when I tested that Audi A3 with a 3-cylinder engine, and it was far too expensive for what it was. This one isn't cheap, so let's leave the price for last and you can make up your mind. But as far as the driving dynamics go, it's getting a bit hot. As far as the driving goes, the comfort, I'm especially surprised by the comfort because this one has the S-Line package, which means it has the S-Line seats as well, amongst other things. But they are surprisingly comfortable. Very nice, in fact. So that's very good. As far as the engine goes, the 1.5 4-cylinder, thankfully 4-cylinder, with 150 horsepower is reasonable. I wouldn't say it's a racer, but it's reasonably fast. It's got the automatic transmission, which is actually very pleasant when it shifts, especially in cities. When I drove a few Renaults, they were far too aggressive with the shifts from a standstill. This is much nicer, much more refined. And it's also the efficiency that surprises. So the efficiency. This has a fairly aggressive start-stop system, which I would not be a fan of otherwise, but they dialed in the restarting of the engine, so it's not as obnoxious as it is usually when you press your foot down and nothing happens for a second until you get power and there's a judder and so on. So none of that is here. This is quite a lot nicer. It's not quite as nice, I would say, as what Mazda did. Or Mazda with its start-stop system, which is practically, you cannot detect that it's restarting the engine, but this is pretty darn close. It also recuperates some energy when you're coasting like this, for example. You can set that up, whether it does it or not. And yeah, the fuel consumption, driving normally, my lowest was 4.6 liters per 100 kilometers indicated. So that's pretty good. I would say that's very good for an engine like this. And it's a petrol engine, it's not a diesel. Yeah, right now it's 4.8. It can of course be a lot higher, 6.5. It was before when it wasn't driven very economically. But if you're driving normally, yeah, expect around 4.7, 4.8-ish. Okay, I've said to myself I will not record this for the English version because, well, probably not many people understand Slovene, but because this car is set up for the Slovene language, but it doesn't actually have Slovene pronunciation, well, the car tries to pronounce some Slovene stuff and kind of fails. So if I stop the engine, well, stop the car and open the doors.
So, a lovely car with physical buttons. Have I mentioned physical buttons? It has physical buttons! Audi A3 Sportback starts at just over 25,000 euros. For the fully equipped model with the diesel engine, automatic gearbox and practically all extras, you'll be lighter for 54,000 euros.